We just finished a fresh batch of vans, and today we're going to showcase the Elevate V2 that is for sale. If the van is sold by the time you watch this, don't worry, we could always do a custom build for you. With the Elevate V2, it's very similar to the Elevate V1, as well as other vans we've done with this layout with the elevator bed. Unlike the other videos that we've done about this layout, Oliver is going to get into the nitty-gritty about how this van works, and we're just going to get right into it, and I'll pass it off to him.
All right, so let's start from the front of the van, because I think it's really important to explain why we choose Mercedes Sprinters. So this chassis is a Mercedes Sprinter 2025. This is a 3500, which is a dually. The reason why we stand on dually is because this specific layout, the Elevate, weighs a little bit more than the regular ones, so we always want to give a lot of freedom to the clients to just, like, you know, load the bikes or any accessories in the back without overthinking the payload, so you're well within the payload. The chassis that we love and we build on is the Mercedes, and the reason is because it's the only company that makes a diesel and all-wheel drive in one package. We think those are two incredibly important parts. The diesel part is because it achieves a really high miles per gallon on the highway. These get to 22 to 23 miles per gallon, and also the fact of the all-wheel drive. You're only limited by how capable your vehicle is, and we think this entire philosophy of getting off the beaten path, you need an all-wheel drive. So if you see some of the previous YouTube videos, you can see us actually on the beach, had no problem, even if the vehicle is the 170. They're pretty big, but they're still incredibly capable. So another big reason is the comfort. So these vehicles have all the bells and whistles. It feels like driving a car. They have active cruise control, big screens to control everything. Apple CarPlay gets, of course, projected onto the screens. Heated seats. They're just really nice, and they just hold their value also. That's another big part of it. So let me dive a little bit more in deep what happened towards the front of these vehicles. So underneath the passenger seat, that's where we actually put the heated chamber, which is actually a Webasto diesel. So the way that we heat the space in the back is using the fuel from the vehicle. So specifically, this is a diesel, so we use a Webasto diesel. It's rated up to 18,000 feet, the EVA 40, which is the model that we installed in this vehicle. And then it gets, of course, plumbed into the living space. Other couple of things that live under the driver's seats are actually the control and the fuse towards the connection between the alternator and the living space, which is one of the charging systems of the vehicles. And then also the vehicle charges two other ways: by the solar panels. So when you're parked, it passively takes advantage of the sun, of course. And then the last way to charge, it's by shore power. So if you're at a campsite or parked in front of a friend's driveway, it's always nice to just plug in and just charge your battery systems. Another thing that you can see from the driving perspective is the separation wall. So the Elevate layout that has the happy jack, so the elevator bed needs the separation wall, because the separation wall becomes part of the structure and the support of the bed. Really nice positive parts of the separation wall is that it's fully insulated, and also it helps with sound. So we all build it with a little sliding door, which is magnetized on both sides, so whether if you're driving it with open or closed, it stays in that position. And then it just makes it feel really homey. Like it doesn't remind you to be inside a van. When it's fully closed, your mind starts actually thinking that you're inside a house. Another big part of it is the pass-through. So if Arthur's gonna go around, I'll show you another big part of it. So you basically have the door open, you move this pillow out of the way, and then I have shoes, so I don't want to step in this nice cushions, also because the van is for sale. Yep, you just walk through it, and then you're done. And then you put your cushion back up, and once this is all situated, the door is closed, and now we're in this beautiful living space. Yeah, it's incredible how mentally you start thinking that you're inside a house. So this is another big part of the Elevate layout. You have a big L shape couch on the side and another big couch on the other side. The way that these vehicles are built is you're carrying your own water, and then you have tons of batteries, which is the main view, basically the main batteries that power your entire living space. So the vehicle and the living space are two separate systems. So you do not need the engine running to run anything on the living space. For example, we're inside the shop, and of course the engine is not on and everything can be used, whether it's a microwave, air conditioning, heater. So it's full separated from the front of the vehicle. A couple of things that we also build in all of our layouts, we like to separate water and electrical. So it's like all the plumbing is usually on one side and all the electrical is on the other side. Nothing good happens when you mix electricity and water together. Underneath me, I'm gonna start showing you what's underneath this bench. So this is basically the electrical bench. What we do in this specific layout, you just remove the pillow and I'll show you the access to all these components. So let me explain you a little bit more about these components. So this is an EcoFlow power kit. We've been using these for quite a long time. We were the early adopters around 5 years ago, and each and every vehicle that we build has this power system. The reason why we sticked with this specific power system is the simplicity of use of the system. They're incredibly powerful. Their warranty is really strong. They have up to 5 years, and also they can actually drop ship nationwide. That compared to our nationwide builder program. So we have other companies around the US that honors our warranty. It's a perfect marriage between those two systems. The way that the electrical system works in a van, it's incredibly similar to what a boat would have. So you have two separate electrical systems. You have a 12 volts and you have a 110 volts. So the best way to separate those two is the 110 volts is basically anytime that you see a home plug. So homes run on 110 volts. So for example, a microwave, the stove right behind me, the hot water heater, those are all appliances that run on 110. So you plug in, your computer or anything else, your blow dryer. That's when you need the 110 system. And then the 12 volt system, which is a low draw system, it's what powers basically anything that is vital to the vehicle. So because technology advances so fast, probably almost like 85% of all the appliances inside the vans, they're based on the 12 volt system, like water pumps, heating, lights, anything that makes you feel comfortable in the space is all 12 volt system. So it's really nice. It's all controlled by this monitor. It makes it really simple to understand what's your battery percentage, how long it will last, what's happening, what's inputting, and what's outputting. So input means everything that is charging the vehicle. So we can give you a quick look at this. So you basically charge the vehicle 3 ways. So the alternator, in the EcoFlow you have 2 solar inputs, which makes it really powerful because you can create a pretty big solar array on the roof. And then the last part is basically your shore power, so you can be connected on the outside. And then the other little window is basically the output. This is where you can actually see what's drawing the electricity. So basically what is the appliances that are actually taking electricity. And then to finish this cabinet, there's a lot of components, but they're all kind of self-included. So it's super simple to plug and play or change parts of the system. These two are the battery. This specific system has a 10 kilowatt battery system. These are 5 kilowatts. That's the power hub, which is basically the brain. So anything between inverter, MPPT, which is the brain that controls the solar panels, everything, it's inside this box. And then right here, it's actually the fuse box. So, one side is really similar to what you have in a home, which is your 110 system. And that's the 12 volt, which is really similar to what a vehicle would have. So most of the appliances are always on the 12 system. And that's super smart system because it will tell you if a fuse pops, what slot it is, and how to change it. And then also what we do, we try to make everything easier for the clients. So we create a full user manual and we have a full robust support system that kind of guides you through everything that happens. Also, another thing that I really like in this van is the color choices that me and Arthur made. These cushions are really cool. We use Sunbrella, which is super durable, UV resistant. They're kind of rated for outdoors, but still have a really soft feel. And this design, the theme that was behind this van was actually creating a play between whites. You have a really nice texture of the limewash walls, and then you have white cabinets. Everything is clean. You have marble looking composite countertops, and also all the wood in the van has been milled at the shop, and it's all walnut, so it's like solid walnut. So the theme is warm woods, warm earth tones mixed with clean pure white, so it makes feel the space incredibly spacious. So that's another big point. You can actually make the van look 10 million different ways by just changing the colors and the features. with us. So let's talk about the other bench over here. So this is basically the water bench. Underneath this system, underneath the bench is the water system. So 40-gallon water tanks. We really like these water tanks because you have access to the top, so you can actually inspect them if anything goes wrong. Full plumbing system, 12 volts of course. You have the water pump, filtration system, that's the pressurizer, and that's your winterizer valve. So sometimes we really like relying on the system that has been in place for many years. Like RV always use the same way of winterizing. That makes it a lot easier on the client. So it's like they can go to any RV spot around the country. If they don't want to winterize it themselves, they can bring it to a space that does it for them. And that's the same system that Airstream in the 70s and 80s, and all the big companies use the same system. So, you know, sometimes we kind of want to rely on those infrastructure out there. Yeah, so everything that we build is of course serviceable. So if we ever need to change this tank because something happened or the water pump doesn't work, everything is easy, serviceable. And the van, let me close this bench so I can show you a couple more things right over here. So where Arthur is sitting, so we're gonna swap. This is, because you're gonna ask me, he's like, there's batteries, water, is like, where am I gonna put my backpack? So these benches towards the front, they are full storage. You don't have to remove the cushions anytime you need to put in. I'm just making it so it's easier for you guys to see it. So full storage. Let me move this bench. A little pillow. We'll keep it here. So absolutely massive bench. So a couple of things that you can see here. These are actually some of the blinds for the windows. This, I'm going to explain it to you a little bit later, but this is basically the bed extension. This bed, well, this vehicle can actually sleep up to 4 people between the 2 bed. So this entire couch underneath it transformed into a bed. So the table goes down, and then we have extensions. All the pillows are being designed that they can fit into. It's almost like a little Tetris. But plenty of storage. We really like making small little changes between versions of the vehicles. So this is a V2. We really like the idea of having 2 smaller bench lids. Makes it a lot easier. So we design different cushion cuts in the middle because we realize there's a lot of time that you walk into the vehicle, maybe you have a jacket or a backpack, you just want to throw it into the bench and just, you know, kind of get comfortable. Same way that you would do in a house. So tons of storage, and yeah, it's just a good way. And also, this is one of our favorite layout because you're sitting here with friends, the door is open, you're overseeing the ocean or anywhere you're parked, and then what we do, we actually add a secondary window on that side, so even on a rainy day you can actually see a bunch of light inside the van even when all the doors are closed. This is a sliding door window. They are fully openable, and they have a touchscreen, so you can actually open and get a cross breeze. We really like using different style windows. This is a sliding window that is a louver window, so it's basically like an awning windows. The reason why is if it's raining and you have a sliding door window, rain can come in a little bit, and that's why we really like that one. So you can actually have options. And then the reverse side of it is like that one doesn't open as much as this one, so these are really nice on a beautiful day. It just makes so much more air coming in, and it feels like a lot more open. So even on a rainy day you get a lot of light, natural light, which, you know, we always plan for the beautiful day, but sometimes you're stuck in the van when it's raining and you want to play cards with your friends or have a nice dinner, but you still want some light to come inside. And then while we're here, I'm going to show you the projector system. So we're a big believer of projector instead of TVs. These are really nice because when they're stowed away, they're not an eyesore. So the design-wise, they're really nice. Also, both me and Arthur came from the film industry, so we really like watching movies. And so we're really behind this product. So these are actually really nice projector systems that we retrofitted with these hideaway collecting system or clamping system. You just unplug it, well, unlock it, and then you can actually put it back up. Now it's fine. This is a huge projector screen. We have a little projector that is actually battery powered, so it can actually go on the table or it can be actually clamped onto the ceiling. And the beauty of that quick release system is it can be moved in 2 different places of the van downstairs. So there's another 2 little button right there between the galley and the living space. So we love this. Another big part of our builds that we pay a lot of attention is lighting. We think sometimes, well, actually all the time, the design is a huge part of it, but if lighting doesn't actually represent the design well, then everything can go out of the window. So let's talk about lighting. So we like zones. So the living space has its own zone, then the bedroom, which is the bed upstairs, has another zone, and then the galley, which is the cooking space, and the living space, and then the shower, and then the garage. So there's tons of different mood and mode that you can achieve. Each and every light and every switch is actually dimmable. So you can actually dim all these lights by just pushing the button, by holding it, and then you can just like bring it back up, turn it on and off. The toe kicks are actually controllable by this control panel. So you go into output, and then you find something that says RGB, like this. So you can turn them on, and now you're gonna see boop, lights at the bottom. So you can control all the colors that you want on the app. Of course, you can create any colors. Look at those colors. So that's another beautiful way to create a different mood, a different vibe inside the van. So we really like actually using that mode while we're watching movies, or maybe you just parked and you really want a little bit of light, because the more you actually camp, the more you're on remote locations, the more it's basically dark outside. So it's really nice to have really, really low light inside the van, because your eyes just adapt. On top, we have overhead lights. So we have 4 puck lights that give nice and strong lights, and also a nice LED strip that gets diffused through the top of the bed. And then because we can 3D print things in-house, we created a little housing because we couldn't find anything on the market. So it's kind of nice to find unique things. Let me move the table around, and I can actually want to talk a little bit about the control system while we're here. In this specific layout, it's on the the driver's side, and it's built in a specific way that the bed can be in stowaway mode or all the way down in bed mode, and you have full access to all the controllers. Let's start from the main screen, which is basically the EcoFlow we talked a little bit about before, but you can see as well how much battery you have, how much time rest available for the battery system. On the bottom screen, this is the CCTV. So this van, it's equipped with a 360 degrees camera system. Everything gets recorded in a secret compartment in this van where there's the DVR. Only the client has access to those DVRs, and they are infrared cameras. So even at night, you can see what happened all around the van. When you go to bed, you can also, of course, turn it on and off. And then up top is basically the climatization world. The square monitor, it's your air conditioning. So this elevator layout has an undermount AC. They're incredibly powerful, and the really nice part of it is they're all plumbed in different air vents through the van. So it moves a lot of air really quickly, which that makes it a really efficient system. And then, of course, both the controllers, this is the AC and this is the heat, this is the Webasto. So you can actually just set up whatever temperature you want, and then you just press the bottom button and that sets it to that temperature. To turn it on, you will push the Webasto. So you see the blinking, well, it's actually not blinking, the solid red, which makes it a clear signal that it's activated. And then you just push the Webasto to turn it off. Both these systems are, of course, thermostats. So you set them at a specific temperature and they will keep the van inside. This is really nice for, of course, comfort, but also we have lots of clients, and when we started the business, of course, we travel around with a dog. So, pets is a really important part on the designs and how the entire system is smart. So unfortunately, most of trails or national parks don't allow you to just walk your dog on trails. So if you go for a hike, you want to make sure that your dog is safe inside the van, in a climatized space, and that has to be redundant system, so you know, you feel safe. So it's not set up in this, but usually you can actually add a remote monitor for the temperature inside of the vehicle. So we offer a couple of different systems. At the moment we're using WAG, which is basically a cellular based thermometer warning systems. So basically, if the van reaches a specific temperature, whether it's cold or hot, you set it up as your own parameters, you get a text message or you get a call from the system or a warning on their apps. And the other system that we really like is basically web-based thermometer systems. So these vehicles, if you option it, but this specific one, they're all built with the Starlink, hard mounted on the roof. So it becomes a smart home. So you can start creating automation and warning systems. So you're basically aware of what's happening inside the van. Other clients, of course, connects internal cameras, pack cameras, and you know, it creates a cool, safe ecosystem that makes you actually enjoy life, even if your dog is not allowed where you're going. And then the last little piece of equipment, this is actually something that we 3D print in-house. It's just a simple housing for the thermometer part of the undermount AC. We really like to keep it far away from the wall, because if it's on a sunny day and the sun is hitting this side of the van, the thermostat can actually start reading a little off, because the wall on that side inside the van gets a little warmer compared to the air. So we like it to just like keep it a little further away from the van. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more about the bed. So I'm gonna show you how it works. All the controllers are up here in the upper cabinets, and it's as simple as the push of a button. And yeah, all 4-post, all electric. It has its own safety stops, whether it goes up or down. So that's why I don't really worry about what's underneath it, because we built it all around the specific height. So you can actually have the table in that position. You don't have to move anything. If you have a water bottle or anything on top of the table, it would be nice to just move them. We're a little dusty. So we have a ladder to go up, but I don't want Arthur to just move around. So I'm a young spring. So let's talk about the bed. The first thing that you can notice, I am 5'9", and you can fully sit inside the bed. So we always think those are a huge part of how the space is designed. This is a full bedroom with an amazing skylight. This is actually my favorite part. It's an amazing, it's almost 3 feet by 3 feet, a full slide out skylight. So what we do, we actually really like what boats do, because anything that is rated for the ocean is of course totally fine for a van. So these are 1/4-inch polyacrylic boat hatch. The beautiful part of it is they're incredibly nice and sturdy. They're quiet, they don't rattle. You can actually stand on top of it when you go on the roof on the other side. And then another big part of it is they're not on a hinge. So it's like, unfortunately, sometimes other skylights, they get left out open through the night and you don't realize it. The wind picks up and then it rips the entire shield of the skylight away. So with this specific model, it's not possible, because it slides under the roof deck that we have on top, and then it's just really quiet. So you close it and it feels like, you know, like a roof. We really like also these Dometic sky shades. These are all from the boat world. You have a full blackout curtain, and then on the other side you have a full bug screen. So you can actually have the skylight open in those beautiful summer nights, so you can sleep with the skylight open. Hopefully it doesn't rain, but it's a really nice thing. Couple more things in the bed is right here. You have all the controllers of your bed. So you have your own lights up top. Everything is nice and diffused on the bed, because we like soft lighting. Of course, it's fully dimmable. So if you hold on to it, it gets dimmer. And then also you have your USB charger right there, so you can charge your phone and everything else. And then up here, you still have full access to the overhead compartment from the driving space. And this is a perfect space to put blankets, pillows, anything that is like compressible. It's kind of a perfect space to put it away. And then if you remember before, we were talking about different projector screens. So the second one is actually up here. So when you're in bed, you can actually just unlock it, and then you have a full screen. I promise it's white on the side. And yeah, so basically the system that we do in the bedroom is we have a suction mount that connects to the Skylight that holds the projector upside down. We use smart projector that they sense that the projector is upside down, so they will flip the image, and then you can actually have a full movie night in bed. And then one big question that we actually keep getting asked is, do you have any issue that you cannot fully stand underneath the Happy Jack? I'm 5'9", and the reality part of having an elevate van is, yes, definitely you need to lean a little bit, but you're spending 100% of your time sitting under here. So you still have so much room on top of it. You need to duck a little bit only when you enter and exit the van. But all the spaces that you fully are standing is your living space. So the galley split into ways, of course. You have the wet side and the electrical side. On the electrical side is the stove, of course. We do not use any propane in this vehicle. Electric is just a lot more safer, and we have plenty of battery power to run any electrical appliances that we want. So dual induction burner. They work with any induction compatible pots, which is a lot of them, most of them nowadays. Amazon is your best friend. You can find tons of those. And then you have child locks, so you can actually fully lock them away when you don't want anything to accidentally trigger them. And then they're incredibly powerful. They actually cook a lot faster, and they boil the water a lot faster than a regular propane stove. So you have your little kitchen stove. We love always to design something far to the right, so it still gives you plenty of surface to just put, spoons and everything, so it's not in the middle. And then while we're here, we can actually talk a little bit up top. So the continuation of your cooking area of the vehicle is a microwave. These are really cute retro microwave. We get tons of compliments for these, but it's a cute, nice little way to create a little bit more personal space. And then depends which van it is. We always usually like to create a little surprise for the clients, something custom for them. This is where a good amount of electronic that doesn't have to be accessible, we just close it away. And yeah, so this is basically the other small other things that we like to do, because these of course are microwave and we don't want them to rattle when you drive. So we 3D print these little brackets that they fully anchor the microwave to the cabinets, so there's no rattling, which is something that will drive you crazy when you drive for hours when you're on the road. And then each and every cabinet has, of course, their own little positive latch. It's, it makes everything not moving, and it keeps everything in place. While we're here, let's talk about storage. These are full storage. So you have plenty of space because there's no continuation of stuff, nothing. This is full ample storage. And then you can see here on the corner of the doors, we have magnetic latches. So basically it's an automatic system fully wired into the van. As soon as you turn on the vehicle, all these magnetic latches will be activated, so all the cabinetry gets automatically locked. Let's say that you're parked at a campsite, or maybe you're really far into the wilderness and you need to charge your batteries, and of course there's no more sun, it's night, and you need just a little bit more juice to get you through the night. You will turn on your vehicle, you start idling for a little bit so you can charge your batteries, and you have a bypass switch. So this switch right here, it's your bypass switch for the magnetic latches. So if you push it, it just deactivates all the latches. So while you're idling and do everything, you can still, open all the cabinetry and continue with your life. Just don't forget to deactivate it before you hit the road, so everything stays locked. So we spoke about this side of the electric stove and everything else. Finishing up on the passenger side, you have a big CRX 110 that will open against you, but it's kind of nice. You have a full size small freezer, probably 4 to 5 Ben & Jerry's, 3 racks, full veggie drawers at the bottom, and they're incredibly powerful fridges, and also they consume little to no electricity. Another cool thing is you can put them in winter mode, so when you close the van and you clean the fridge, it's like a house, so you don't want the fridge to actually fully stink. So you can actually pull this latch out. What it does is you turn off the fridge and of course put the van in winter mode, and you see it doesn't fully close. And the reason is air can actually go through and don't make that musky and like closed space. And then when you de-winterize it in the summer, you just re-lash it and it fully closes. So it's a nice little feature that the Matic did. Down here, there's a little cute compartment. This is where you can actually store cans and anything else that kind of is awkward, or maybe heavy parts can go at the bottom. And then on the top, we have, I think, one of my favorite part of this van. So it's basically a full pantry, or other clients use it as a clothes storage. So we created a large lip so nothing can fly out. You can still see we have the magnetic latches, so all these doors close automatically. And yeah, so if you look at it, also everything has been built with like European hinges. Everything is serviceable, so we can always work through the van if anything need to be changed. Let's talk about the kitchen sink side. So the plumbing in the entire van, of course, you're carrying your own water, 40 gallons, we said before. This vehicle is equipped with a 22-gallon gray water tank, which sits actually on the outside of the van. That is the only tank that is actually situated on the outside of the van, so you gotta be aware that when it gets really cold outside in freezing temperature and you're still going skiing or you're traveling with the van, just make sure that you turn on the winterizer or heated element of the gray tank. So it's simple as a button. You turn it on, the lights turn white. It means that the heating pad underneath the gray tank is on, and it will prevent the water from freezing. The entire tank on the outside is fully insulated, but this is always a good way to just keep the water liquid. And while we're here, let's talk about the gray release. So it's not like the old style going under the van, opening the gray tank, connected to a hose, have it go down. This is like, there's none of that anymore. So this is all electric. So you turn on, you open and close the valve. It's a guillotine style valve. It fully leaves the water on the street. And because there's no black water in these vans, the gray water, if it is biodegradable, anything that you put in the vent, you can actually dump it pretty much everywhere if you're conscious of where you are. And so it's kind of nice to just have it as simple as a button. The other cabinets, it's full storage. Both of them have the lip, so nothing can fly out. And then while we're taking a look at this cabinets, there is a secondary fuse box. So these vehicles have so many accessories that we create a second fuse box, so you don't have to have so many long electric lines. It makes it a lot safer and serviceable. So this is a secondary fuse box that controls basically everything that is on the ceiling and on this side of the van. So enough of the storage. We have tons of it. Let's talk about countertops. I think is one of my favorite part of these vehicles. These are Duracane. So it's basically a composite countertop. You basically work it like wood, but it's just so strong. It's solid. It doesn't warp. It's waterproof. And they are also repairable. So if you ever scratch them or gouge them, they can be sanded, refinish, and you still have this really beautiful look. And then underneath the countertop is, of course, the cabinetry. Let me give you a little bit of breakdown how the cabinets are all built in-house, of course. And this is melamine on multiply ply core. So it's really rigid, really solid. And the fact that it's melamine, it's easy, wipeable, resistance. Everything is basically a high touch surface in the van. And then basically right here is just like tons more storage. All the drawers are soft closing. Then you have a big pantry or galley or trash bins. And then right here is more storage, and as well the hot water heater. So this is a hot water heater based on the 110 system. It's a 2.5 gallon Bosch heater. Basically you just turn it on 15 minutes before you take a shower and you hot water, and then you have hot water in the sink and in the shower. Okay, speaking of shower, now Arthur's gonna go slowly out without falling. Big shower. The Elevate layout boosts this massive shower in the back, which double also as toilet. So the toilet is actually housed in this aluminum door. It's as easy as open it up, and this is where the toilet is. So this actually specific van has a Laveo dry flush. Me and Arthur became experts of toilets in the last 5 years. Really nice. It automatically, with the push of a button, seals whatever waste. It has 20 uses. After 20 uses, you basically throw away the cartridge, which is this one, and it has a little trash bag in it, and it is battery powered. So kind of amazing toilet. And then when you're done, you just push it back away, and you don't have to see your toilet, which is a big plus side. The shower pans are custom made in-house, and that is a really nice part of it because you can actually choose any tiles that you want. Most of the time we've been experimenting with penny tiles. It makes the space so homey. And then we are in the shower department. So full mix, hot and cold, of course. This matches the color of the faucet in the front. We use Brundell Nebbia. They nebulize the water. So it basically creates a really nice dense mist that uses up to a gallon a minute, which is really low compared to what a house shower does. And then we outfit it with a simple curtain, shower curtain. So if you want, you can close it so you don't get wet all the storage. And yeah, it kind of keeps everything nice and neat. And let's talk about the doors while we're here. So, you know, in this specific layout, you don't have the garage under the bed. So the way that we split the storage is we create a bigger compartment on the right side that it has its own lighting. And underneath here, behind this little vent is basically part of the undermount AC system. This is your evaporator, so basically what moves the air inside the vent. We like to enclose it because it has 2 open fans. We want to make sure that no foreign object enters that compartment. And then because we like to add more storage and it's the shower, we don't want windows in these layouts. You can if you want, but in this specific spec vent that we didn't put any windows. A couple of positive things is the fact that we can actually insulate behind these panels, and then it adds so much more storage. So it's really nice. We see a lot of our clients use these space in different ways. This is kind of perfect for all your shower parts. The ladder that takes you to the bed gets clicked in this position, and then you have tons of little pockets, storage. They use carabiner, same on the other side, and this makes it a great storage space. One thing that I want to talk about is the outside of the van while we're here. So let me close these doors and show you that this van is really clean. We barely add any outside accessories. The reason is because it's a spec van, so we always let the client decide how much they want to change the outside of the van, whether they want to keep it stealthy or they want to go really off-road. One thing that we need to do in every Elevate van is putting the spare tire on the outside, because we replace the spare tire location underneath the van with a gray water tank. So we always have to put it up. And in this specific van, we put a ladder because it has a full roof deck. So up top, you have 3 175 walkable solar panels, plus this absolutely huge deck. It's a great space to just either sit down, watch the sunset. Arthur sometimes bring a full table upstairs and works from the roof, but it's a great space to have. And then all around, still has the original wheels. The vehicle is white. If you see all around, like we have tons of different color, different vans. We partner with companies here in New York City to have them fully wrapped, so you can choose any color that your heart desire, and it's a good way sometimes to just create a unique vehicles. That's pretty much it. So last couple of things that we should talk about is the shore power, because we're talking about one of the 3 ways that you charge the vans. In this layout, it's on the driver's side. So this is a 30 amp RV plug. You can actually just fully plug in any camp, but we have an adapter also to 15 amps, which is the regular house plug. And right behind me, this is a step-up board. So these are electric step-up boards that we install pretty much almost all the vans. They're automatic, so they retract as soon as you close the door or they reopen. They are all based on the Mercedes system, so it senses the fact that there are doors open. And then on the other side, you're gonna find the bigger step-up board, which is based on the sliding door. So you can actually enter your passenger side and your living space, and same system. So now, and then while we're here, we can actually talk about one of my favorite features. So it has a fully extendable table built into the bench. So if you remember from earlier on when we saw the storage, this is fully independent from that storage. So you can have backpacks, stuff inside the bench, and this table still slide in and out. And it's a great space for the outside. You can be cooking or relaxing, and it's a good surface to have, so you don't have to carry a table all the time with you. And then I think to finalize a couple of things, we should talk about the roof.
This has a big awning. This is our Fiamma F45, big Italian company. They've been doing awning for more than 50 years. They're manual. We really love them. They're foolproof. They always open. They're always closed. So we want to keep it simple most of the times. And that's probably pretty much it with this van. This van is for sale. So if you reach out to us by email or through the website, you can actually see the listing on this van. If it sells, don't worry. We actually build a lot of other vans. I don't know if you saw, we have so many vans here. These are all clients' vans. They're going to get picked up soon. And of course, we have YouTube videos that explains all of these vans. But yeah, we are still in Brooklyn, still loving what we do, and this is a great example. We wanted to go a little bit deeper into each and every features of these vans and just explain a little bit more what we do and why we love what we do.